Shalom. Today I'm going to talk with you about holiness. Such a fun word, right? I will be talking about holiness and why it is necessary for us to continue striving for it today. In a world where there is such unholiness running around, it is important that there be an understanding of what is holy and what is not holy. I'm going to say something that will be very controversial. Holiness still matters. Holiness still matters. If someone is not holy, then they aren't serving others the way they were meant to serve. The scriptures are extremely clear when it comes to this topic of holiness, as we see in our Torah portion in Leviticus 19:1, where it says, Adonai said to Moses, "Speak to the entire community of Israel. Tell them, you people are to be holy, because I, Adonai your God, am holy." All throughout this passage, we keep getting reminders from God on the importance of being holy because He is holy. This leads me to conclude one thing. Holiness is a must. There are no negotiations when it comes to holiness. Now, there are many people who hear this and they are wondering why God is putting such an emphasis on holiness. Why does it matter how you treat your neighbor? Why does it matter about sexual relationship boundaries? Why does it matter if someone engages in sorcery, slander, or keeping Shabbat, etc.? It's actually quite simple. Because the nations that God was getting ready to judge in the Promised Land became defiled by all the detestable things that were being done there. Adonai wanted to make sure that His people would be pure before His sight and not repeat these horrible acts that the Gentile nations were committing. They were meant to be a royal priesthood and a holy nation, which then requires them to be different than others around them, separate for God. Now, for those who believe that Jesus did away with the law and that we don't live by any set of moral standards, and there are unfortunately many Christians who do abide by this, I'm here to tell you that Jesus not only taught the standard of holiness, but also raised the standard. What was once only an external act that would be judged by God was now turned into a matter of the heart. If you lust after a woman in your heart, then you've already committed adultery. If you hate your brother in your heart, then you've committed murder. And so on. It now goes to the root of the issue of the heart. That's what God wanted to target all along. And when Jesus came on the scene, He was able to teach this, He was able to live this, because it was God's goal that we be sanctified. It was never God's intention that we would stay in this sinful state that we were in, or that iniquity would rule over His people. It was always His intention that Israel would be a blessing to the nations under the rulership of God and the empowerment of God. But unfortunately, there are so many people who still fight with this concept of holiness, because people still want to live the way they want to live. They want to set their own terms and conditions with God. Okay, God, I will serve you, but I get to do this, 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 and this. It doesn't work like that. When you serve God, you surrender everything to Him. And although to an extent that is difficult, especially when you're giving up things that you love, especially if it's a fleshly thing, but God knows what He's doing, and He knows why it is important for you to surrender those things. And so through this Torah portion, we see that God was setting the stage for what He would eventually reveal in a deeper way through the Mashiach, His Son, Jesus, the Messiah. We see that God is interested in all areas of life, down to the smallest detail. This is because holiness is not just about how clean and great someone looks on the outside, but also about how clean and great someone is on the inside. What happens outside is only a reflection of what's within. This is why holiness is a must. Holiness is the process in which we allow ourselves to be opened up to God, giving Him the space to transform us from the inside out.